Well, hey everyone, welcome to our BAM session today, Monday, November 25th. Great to have everyone here. It's Thanksgiving week, and I'm sure you have a lot to talk about when you go to your, I was going to say Christmas, when you go to your Thanksgiving gatherings, which then leads into your Christmas gatherings and your holiday parties and all those different things. There's likely to be conversations that will come up, and I'm sure there'll be political conversations. That'll be fun. But so I recommend you avoid those. But there's going to be opportunities for you to talk to friends and family. And in some of those situations, you'll know people like family. Yeah, they all know you're in real estate. But there's potential that you'll bump into people during some of the festivities that they don't necessarily know what you do. And so the question would come up, oh, hey, Joe, what do you do for a living? Oh, hey, Jenny, what do you do for a living? And so you'll have an opportunity to introduce yourself. And of course, I'm kind of framing this around the holidays, but really just about every day of the year, you have the potential of bumping into somebody who might have some type of, they want to know what you do for a living. So I think it is good to have a strategy behind that. And so I want to talk today about how to pitch your business to people around you. When you are introduced to people, I want you to know how to pitch your business in a way that it isn't just disclosing what it is you do for a living, but I want you to pitch your business in a way that when people meet you and hear what it is that you do, that they'll feel, wow, I'd really like to work with that person. Wow, I'd really like to send people to this agent because she knows what they're doing for sure. So I wanted to talk about that. So I'm going to do a bit of a screen share here. Okay, I got that. Push that little button. All right. So hopefully you can see my screen now. So we've got our BAM session. Today I want to talk to you about how to pitch your business. All right. So as we move into the holidays, you'll potentially have opportunities to meet people and talk to friends and family. Your real estate work may come up. So it's important to think through how to represent yourself. It's important to create a way of introducing yourself and your business in a way that sets you apart from all other agents. Okay, so that's the distinctive thing. You don't want to say, they say, oh, hey, Bob, what do you do for a living? I'm a realtor. You don't want to introduce yourself that way. You want to introduce yourself in a way that this is distinctive from the way other agents operate in the world. So you want to set yourself apart, and you do that from the very beginning. And this is different than a listing presentation or a buyer strategy session. That's a different type of pitch, okay? And we have covered that. We've done videos, and these are on YouTube. We've done videos on how to do a listing presentation, how to pitch your business through a listing presentation. We've done videos on how to pitch your business to a buyer through a buyer strategy session. But this is how to pitch your business to strangers or people who just find out that you're in the business. This pitch is a quick introduction that tells people what you do, how you're different, and why they should work with you and refer clients to you, okay? So to help you develop your pitch statement, I think it's valuable for you to take time to think through what is your superpower in real estate. What's your superpower? You have some special thing that you do that's different from other agents. It's your unfair advantage. What is your unfair advantage? And you might say nothing. So if nothing is your answer to that, I would say one of two things is possible. One is you haven't really given it enough thought to think about what can you do that's better. There's something you're gifted in some way that is better than your competitors. What is that thing? And so you probably haven't thought about it enough. So I would encourage you to take time to think that through. Take some downtime, get away from social media, get away from distractions, just go get alone to yourself and think through what is your superpower? What is it that you do that's better than what your competitors do? Okay. The other thing that could be possible is that maybe you haven't taken time to develop yourself in a way that you really have something special yet. Now, my guess is 99% of you do have a special something, but if you spend time and hours trying to think through what your special thing is and you are at a loss, zero, you can't think of anything that's special about the way you do business, then I would encourage you to develop something special. But that's a very small minority of you watching this session because just about all of us have some type of superpower, something that we're good. So once you figure out what that is and then weave that into your pitch. All right. So it's good to be strong and confident, but it's also important to be humble. Okay. And I think humility is probably one of the specific parts of our brand as a company. We have lots of great agents, but our agents tend to be more humble than I've seen at other brokerages, and I really appreciate that. I am talking about being strong and being confident, but also being humble. Okay. So here are some sample pitches, and you can think of your way. Basically, you want to be able to say what you do, but I would always put in there some special spin on it of this is what makes you different. Okay. So let's say I meet Scott at a Christmas party, and Scott has never met me before. He's like, "Hey, so what do you do?" The way that these are going to be a series of ways that I could introduce myself to Scott or any other person. And this is kind of what I do. Yeah, I'm a real estate agent, and pretty much I make dreams come true every week. That's a good way to describe it. Okay. I'm going to give you a bunch of these pitches just to get your mind, your wheels turning in your brain of how you can shape this for you. Hopefully, some of these ideas will help you. Yeah, I'm a real estate agent. I've basically mastered social media in order to help people buy and sell homes quickly and smoothly. So that's a way to frame your business around social media, that you're really good at social media. Yeah, I'm a real estate agent. I help investors make massive amounts of money through real estate acquisitions and sales. Okay. So that's a good way to frame it. Maybe some of you work with investors. So as you're introducing yourself, that's a way to do it that highlights the way you do business, sets yourself apart. I'm a real estate agent. I work hard to sell homes through active marketing rather than just passive marketing. So you're setting yourself aside. When they hear that, they're thinking, oh yeah, all those other agents who just stick a sign in the yard, you must be someone who does more than that. Okay. I'm a real estate agent. I use technology to make people's dreams come true through real estate. That's a way to pitch it, and you emphasize the technology that you use. I'm a real estate agent. I build relationships with my clients so that I know well enough to help them accomplish exactly what they want to accomplish when buying and selling homes. So you're setting yourself apart as a relationship agent. I'm a real estate agent. I use technology and AI to help give people a better life. Okay. It's simple, but it definitely sets you apart as somebody who does it differently than all the other agents. I'm a real estate agent who turns every client into a lifelong friend. You know what? It's a different spin. Maybe your superpower is building relationships. So maybe that's the way that you can introduce yourself and help very quickly pitch your business. I'm a real estate agent. I make the complicated, can't even say it. It's so complicated, I can't even say it. I make the complicated process of real estate sales safe and simple. I'm a real estate agent. I'm someone who helps clients achieve their biggest life goals through real estate. Another way to pitch it. I'm a real estate agent. I specialize in matching people with properties that perfectly fit their needs, whether it's their first home or forever home or an investment property. So that type of a pitch definitely shows the breadth of your business, how you are building your business and focusing on things. I'm a real estate agent. I guide my clients through buying, selling, and investing in real estate, making sure every decision is well informed and stress free. So, in that type of introduction, you're establishing yourself as a market expert, as somebody who knows what you're doing. You can be a guide, you can be a Sherpa along the way. I'm a real estate agent. I'm passionate about helping people build wealth and security through real estate while also finding the perfect place to call home. Okay. So that type of pitch puts a couple different spins on it. It kind of shows a couple different sparkles of what you do for your business. You know, you're focused on wealth building, but you're also focused on home building. So that's another great way to frame it. I'm a real estate agent. I take the stress out of real estate, whether you're buying or selling. I make sure you feel confident each step of the way. Okay. That's another great pitch, a great way to explain what you do in a way other than just saying, I'm a realtor. I'm a real estate agent, but more than that, I'm a problem solver and a guy that my job is to help you reach your real estate goals with ease. Okay. So you're pitching it in a way that defines your business process. Okay. I'm a real estate agent. I help people make one of the most important decisions of their lives safe and simple. Uh, Another way you could introduce yourself, I'm the hardest working real estate agent you'll ever meet. Hi, I'm Chris. I'm the hardest working real estate agent you'll ever meet. So now it's good to be a hardworking real estate agent if you're going to introduce yourself that way. Don't be a lazy person and introduce yourself that way. Okay. Another way you can do it, I've done this. I'm a marketing guy and I happen to market the field of real estate, but pretty much I'm a marketing guy. So that's a way to pitch your business in a way that differentiates yourself. I'm a real estate agent. I love being a part of the big moments in people's lives, helping someone find their perfect home or sell their property for a fresh start. That's what I do best. So another way to frame that. Okay, so those are some ideas. Here's some random thoughts. Once you give your pitch, you introduce yourself in that way, it's probably going to bring up some questions. They're going to say, oh, wow, I didn't know that. That's interesting. How do you do that? It's probably going to come up. Okay. So you need to be ready. You need to be prepared. If they say, oh, really? Well, that's interesting. How do you do that? You need to have some answers and be ready for it. Think this through, think this process through. So if I say I use AI and technology for helping people find their dream home or whatever it might be, I should have some examples of how I use AI. I would point them to conversion. Well, we've got some software that's amazing. It actually goes out, finds properties. It's called KV Core, finds properties that match properties that you're interested in. It can figure out if it's an 85% match, an 87% match, sends it to you automatically. So it's doing this scouring of the internet on its own. I would also, if I was pitching technology and they say, oh, wow, how do you do that? Or if I'm pitching marketing and they say, oh, well, tell me more about that. Then I'd say, well, the big thing is we own the internet online. When we're marketing not a problem, a property, when we're marketing a property, we want to make sure that we're dominating on social media. We want to make sure we have fantastic video, photography, drone imaging. We want to make sure all of that is excellent. And then we get it out, distributed on social media so thousands and thousands of people will see your listing. So that's just an example of how I would frame it. If someone said, oh, that's interesting. How do you do that? So make sure that you thought this through. When you give your pitch of your superpower, this is what I do. Make sure you're ready for, oh, wow, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. Make sure you're ready for that. Now, I would recommend having a few of these pitches ready to go. So you don't have to pick one. I would have a few different ways of framing it. Go back through, write down a few different types of pitches on how you would pitch your business. And then you can pull out whichever pitch makes the most sense depending on the scenario where you're at. So, if you're at a family gathering and everyone already knows you're a realtor, that might make a little bit difference of how you pitch to those people. If you're at a business gathering, maybe your spouse has a Christmas party at the office, you're invited. So you go to this Christmas party, you're meeting lots of people that you wouldn't necessarily know. Uh, so you might have a different pitch, how you would present it there. But I would have a few of these ready to go. Once you have a few of these pitches ready to go, it's also a good way. It's also good to make yourself known on social media through these pitches. You can do this by posting. You can do it through creating a meme that has your special thing that you do in the meme. There could be some funny ways of doing that. But you can also uh, post from time to time just to remind your sphere of influence. Hey, just in case you forgot, I'm a realtor and da 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 da. So this could be a great strategy for social media as well. So once people hear you're in real estate, they will often ask you questions about real estate. Have you ever noticed that? So you throw out there, yeah, I'm a realtor. This is what I do. Oh, really? They're going to ask you some questions. So it's important to be ready for those questions. All right. If you're going to the gathering, be ready for the questions that people are going to ask. So you want to be able to answer those questions in a knowledgeable and an authoritative way. Okay. You want to demonstrate that you know what you're talking about. Here's some of the examples of types of questions. And you all know this already. You get hammered with questions. As soon as people find out that you're in real estate, they'll say, oh, hey, so how's the market? Right? How many of you have been asked that question? Hey, how's the market? Yeah, everyone asks that. So what if you actually had a great answer for that? That would be perfect. And then you can weave in to that conversation how you are a solution to that. So how's the market? That's a big one. Is this a bad time to sell? That's what I'm hearing a lot of people say. They'll come in kind of preloaded with that. I hear it's a bad time to sell. Okay. So have a response to that ready to go. Or they'll say, is this a bad time to buy? I hear this is a bad time to buy a house. No, this is a great time to buy a house. I would buy a house. Matter of fact, I'm looking for houses. Whatever it might be, but make sure you have a response and that you're ready for those questions. How are interest rates right now? How many of you have been asked about interest rates? Well, you don't want to show up to that Christmas gathering or Thanksgiving gathering and they ask you about interest rates and you don't know. So make sure that you're studying this. And I know our uh, our preferred vendor for mortgage is Marcy New and Bethany Ritchie with Fairway Home Mortgage. I would tap their skills and knowledge before you go to those parties and find out, hey, how are the interest rates these days? And they can definitely give you a good market update. You can also check in with Keeping Current Matters. I recommend that you subscribe to it to get updates on market conditions. And you can do local market conditions through that. But you want to be prepared when people ask you about. They're going to ask you, what do you think interest rates will look like over the next year? Where do you think they're going? So you want to be able to give them an educated response to that. One question you'll get is, how do you think Trump's going to affect the real estate market in the upcoming year? I would recommend being ready for that. And I would recommend not turning it into a fight. It's always good to have a nice, pleasant, peaceful conversation about the real estate market. And you can speak into it, with knowledge without turning it into a fight. So be careful. So, all right. So those are the key things I wanted to mention. But I'm curious with you. I'd like to hear your input. So what thoughts or questions or stories do you have that have to do with pitching your business? Do you have some other suggestions for us? And then the other thing I would ask is, have you been asked these questions? How do you answer these questions when you are, I was going to say confronted. I don't know if it's actually a confrontation, but when you're approached with questions like this, what are some of the answers that you've given that you think, well, that worked out. That seemed to be a helpful answer. So love to hear your responses. So questions, comments, feedback, ideas? What do you got?
Hey, Chris, Michelle had a question. She said, what do you do if someone asked, is the market going to crash?
Well, I know what I would answer, but I'm curious, before I give my answer, what are some of the responses people in our amazing group here would have to say? How would you respond to that? Only one person at a time, please.
Well, I would say, yeah, it will someday. But what if it goes up 50% between now and then? No one knows when that's going to happen.
Yeah,
I
I think,
usually chuckle. I just say if I had that kind of crystal ball, I'd be retired by now.
yeah. Well, these are all great answers. Um, just what I would say is you can always bet on real estate. I don't think the real estate market's going to crash. Otherwise, banks would stop lending money on it. If you want to get a loan and you go to a bank and say, will you loan me money to invest in the stock market? They will laugh so hard that you'll barely be able to get out of the office. They won't loan you money at a bank to invest in the stock market, but they will loan you money at a bank to invest in real estate or to buy a home. So that's one of the best indicators, I think, that the market is not quite ready to crash yet. So that's my thought. Any other thoughts about those thoughts? Or are there any other questions or thoughts about any of this stuff?
Hey, Chris.
Yeah. What do you
Yeah, I
got,
don't
man?
necessarily have a question. I was just thinking that when you introduce yourself, I know I like to generate enthusiasm and excitement. If you just present yourself as, yeah, I'm a realtor, here's my card. If you want to buy or sell, let me know. I mean, that's pretty generic. Everybody says that. What I like to do is show them that I actually like being a real estate agent. And I'll usually say, yeah, I'm a realtor with Plum Tree Realty, and I love what I do. I do this full time. Are you looking to buy or sell? You know anybody that's looking to buy or sell? I'd love to help. And I always encourage them to check out my feedback. It's not a form of bragging, but it also shows that when they check it out, that you know what you're doing. And I usually do like to emphasize, not how much I've sold and this and that, but the fact that I'll answer your phone calls and I'll communicate with you during the process. And then I encourage them to check out my feedback, my Google feedback, because the common thread is always Chris actually returns calls. Chris is a great communicator. He kept me in touch. He told me what was going on through the process. We really appreciate that. And then they see the other feedback, knowledgeable or whatever. But I always have felt like that when you generate excitement and you actually feel like you or present that you feel like you love what you do, that's contagious. They pick up on that. Most people are going to be like, yeah, I'd like to. I mean, don't go over the top. And of course, everybody's got different personalities. But if you show that you love what you're doing, they're going to want to work with somebody like that. So I always like to start out of the gate. I love what I do. I do this full time. I'll work for you full time. I'm available anytime. I'll return calls, in text within a reasonable time. And people generally pick up on that and are excited about working with you.
Boy, that's great input. Thanks for sharing that. I think it's in a lot. We're in a service career, right? We serve people. That's what we do, and a lot of people in service type professions don't understand that excitement, that energy, has a direct correlation to their paycheck. Like if you go into a restaurant and your server just shows up and it looks like they are dreading every moment of it, like subconsciously that's going to affect your enthusiasm about the experience and your enthusiasm about a tip, right? And you might say, well, I'll just do the standard tip. Sure, that's fine. But when someone's really excited and they're bringing a meal and they are excited about the meal and they think they have the best restaurant anywhere and they try to make it special. They're excited, that enthusiasm. They're happy and cheerful. You just subconsciously the whole experience is better, and probably just subconsciously you tip better, so their pay is better. And I think it's the same way in the real estate world. I love that, Chris, because enthusiasm, energy, excitement about what we do. Man, that makes a big difference, and I think that's conveyed in that first impression when you meet people. So that's really well done. Any other
Chris,
thoughts out there?
Chris,
Yes.
hi, good morning.
Hey,
Um,
Linda.
hey, um, I was the question about the crash. Is the market going to crash? Well,
Yeah.
basically, what I would say if somebody asked me that is, well, I went through that crash and I never slowed down. I had so much business at that time, and it was just people were moving, people were looking for a lesser expensive home. They were doing all sorts of creating, their livelihoods. And my broker at that time sent me a message and said, "Didn't you get the memo? We're in a market crash." So don't let that despair you, because one,
Yeah.
it's the best investment you could ever make. Look at us now from back then. So just let's focus on getting you a wonderful deal for a wonderful house. And if in fact, if it works out that we end up having another crash, you're going to be sitting in the house of your dreams. So that's kind of the way I talk to them about that stuff.
I love that. It's such a positive way to frame it. I love that. Thanks so much for sharing that. That's great. What other thoughts out there? Any other or questions or responses to some of these things? Selena, did you have a thing?
Yeah, so I actually am piggybacking off of Chris's comment, what he said. There's this book, I don't know if you've read it, but it is called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I already read it one time, but I'm rereading it, and this time actually, highlighting, taking notes and such. And he actually talked about an instance where your enthusiasm makes the other person so excited that they're willing to do whatever. So one instance, he was talking about an insurance agent, and one insurance agent emailed him and some other guy that he works with, like, "Hey, we got some new plans. I'll talk to you about them later." Not really being enthusiastic about it, but then they went out to lunch. They saw another insurance agent. He's like, "Hey guys, I have such a great experience or whatever." And he was like really excited about it. So it made them excited about it. And so that's how they were able to not only, buy this extra insurance, but they got the premium on top of that, And so that was kind of something that was fun. And then as well as that is talking about the other person. Other people love talking about themselves. People love talking about themselves. So get them excited about talking about themselves is, beneficial for you, because they're going to think like you are a really good listener, and that can play out something nicely for you.
Yeah, there's a lot of really great things you said there. One of them, and by the way, Selena, since you posted that Mike Tyson meme, I'm having a hard time seeing you without picturing Mike Tyson's behind. So just so you know, but fortunately, you covered it up in the meme, so that's good. But and if some of you are wondering what the heck is that all about, make sure you go to our Facebook Agent Connect group and look at the meme that she put out there. Fast advertising, love it. That's a great strategy. But one of the things you mentioned is the emotional side of the sales transaction. Are you all aware that our emotions as human beings they run in an open loop? Okay, so one person's emotions affect another person's emotions, and that person's emotions affect this person's emotions, which is part of the spiral we've had with the political conversation. There's a lot of negative emotions, and so Facebook and social media puts us in these little silos. So you get, running away with whatever the emotion happens to be there. But when you're in so let's say you go to an office and the the receptionist, you say, "Hey, good morning, how's it going?" And she's like, "Oh, terrible. I'm doing terrible. Everything's terrible." You feel a little bit worse, don't you? So um, their emotions, you're in an open loop that kind of pulls you down. But on the flip side of it is, if you have energy and you're positive, like what Chris was saying, and you're cheerful about something, then that you're creating that positive loop. So you're making that conversation, that interaction, turning it into something positive. And I, I love doing that. I very intentionally try to get on the positive side, creating the loop when I'm in a conversation. I remember one time I was down out near the Outer Banks in North Carolina. How many of you have been to the Outer Banks in North Carolina? If you haven't, you should go because it's kind of cool. There was a coffee shop. I love coffee shops. So I was looking on Google for a coffee shop near me, and there was this one coffee shop called Ugly Mugs Coffee Shop. I thought, well, that's hilarious. I love that name. And I started reading the reviews, and all the reviews, they were saying, "Oh man, I don't know what's wrong with this owner, but she actually hates, she's like the meanest person I've ever seen." I'm sure it's a different owner now. If that coffee shop is still there. Hopefully she's not watching this video on YouTube, um, but it was like all these negative reviews, like, "Oh man, she yelled at me. It was terrible. She was obviously," and it was like months and months of these negative reviews. And I told Lee, I said, "Man, we got to go there. I can't wait to see this owner. This just sounds like hilarious." And so it's called Ugly Mugs because they had a local potter who created these mugs with ugly faces on them. It was awesome. I love the idea. And then I got there, ordered my coffee, and there's this person that was renowned. She's legendary for being mean and nasty. And I thought, I'm gonna turn this conversation. I'm gonna make this open loop a good one. So I was like, "Hey, so I love your coffee shop here. This is just amazing." And she's like, like, "Man, so what do you like most about running your own business out here in the Outer Banks? What do you love most about this?" Like, I can't stand it. This is like the weather's always bad. The business is bad. It's hard to make money doing this. And she gave me this list, and there was no fixing the conversation. I tried everything I could, and at the end of it, I'm sure she thought I was an a-hole because I was so positive. Um, and so that was my legacy at that coffee shop. Um, but you don't want to be that person in your business. Like Selena was mentioning, you want to have your emotions, and if you can be positive, excited, that's going to go a long way. So there was some other point you made. I can't remember what it was. The ugly mugs threw me off, but thanks, Selena, for sharing. Any other thoughts, questions, comments? Maria?
So I haven't done it yet, but I think on realtor.com you have the ability to have people that you know recommend you. So it's not a review because they didn't work with you personally, but family and friends. And I was just thinking, like, think about, like, I wrote down a lot of what you had said for my pitch. And so just pick a couple of them and say, "Hey, can you write up a quick recommendation mentioning that I like to use AI and technology?" And if they have a hard time, that you can always ask ChatGPT. So I thought that would be a good idea so that you're out there, and especially, if you don't have a lot of sales, that can, interest people because they do look at those reviews and those recommendations.
Yeah, that's a great point. And definitely, as a matter of fact, that's not just realtor.com. You can do that on any of the platforms. And that's such a great strategy, especially if you're new in the business. It's a great strategy for building up your reviews, is get friends and family just talking about you as a person. So-and-so is such a great agent, works hard, creative, funny, whatever the list is. And if you can prime them, get them prepped with whatever you have kind of your unique selling proposition, that's a great way to do it as well. By the way, I'm not sure if all of you are aware of this, but one of the benefits that we provide to our agents is that after every time you have a closing, we shoot a text message out to your clients and we say, hey, this is Plum Tree Realty. Thanks so much for letting us have the honor of working with you in your recent real estate transaction. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think we did? And then when they say 10 or 9, we say, wow, that's great. Would you be willing to post a Google review for your agent on our website and mention them by name? This would be a great benefit to your agent who worked so hard for you, and we would greatly appreciate it. Here's the link. Just click here. So we do that after every transaction. And so we've got hundreds and hundreds of Google reviews on our agents, and that's to help you. So when someone Googles your name, that's the type of stuff that's going to show up because they are leaving these reviews for you by name. And so they'll find these reviews. So you can also do that in your own business, but wanted to let you know we also have that automation for you. Linda, I have a feeling you have something to say, but your mic's turned off.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, gotcha.
Okay. So talking about getting yourself out there, I've been doing this for several years, excuse me. After every sale, I send out these. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah.
And
Terrific. It's great.
It goes around, like I like to go within a 2-mile radius, sometimes just in the neighborhood, just depends. And I have received phone calls off of these in the last 19 years or so. So this is the way to get your face on the refrigerator sometimes. And then if I'm farming, I'll send magnets so they can put them on the refrigerator with my ugly mug with a phone number. But anyway, these are pretty cool and they're not very expensive at all to do because I'm not rich in this business by any means. So just thought I'd give you another tidbit on how to get us out there.
Well,
Would
that's
you
great.
be
Do you
willing
mind?
to give us maybe like a list of the things you send out, so we can copy, replicate, and duplicate?
Things I do? Sure, I wouldn't mind doing that. I'm sitting here thinking about it now, but yesterday I probably wouldn't have thought about it. Sure, I'll be glad to help you out on that.
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions about that, Linda?
No, absolutely.
So, who do you send those cards out to? Who's in your list? Who receives those?
Okay, so when I sell a home, like this one was in Anderson on Dawes Lane, I go on the auditors and I just put in Dawes. I don't put in a number address. And everybody comes up, okay, that lives on that street. So I do that street. Then I'll go in and I'll look at a map on MLS and it'll tell me if I'm not familiar totally with that area. I'll look on a map and it'll be Mears Street and it'll be a Joe Smo Street, and I'll pull all their addresses. And on the MLS, we can all do labels. So when we pull up, go into the MLS, put in Dawes Lane, it'll pull up all those addresses, and then I'll go into labels, into reports, and I pull off all the labels, and then I ordered these, and I don't remember, I think Leah helped me. Leah is fabulous, by the way, you guys. She has helped me so much because I'm such a dingbat when it comes to links and stuff. She's helped me a lot find a place to get these. I think I got 100 of these for like $54. And then I went to the post office and they will give you a cheaper stamp, and I bought bulk. So that was like 60, but you don't use all of them. You know, sometimes you don't use all of them, but I think it was a perfect thing to get me out of there. So I go within a mile radius is the answer to that. And I find it on the auditors or on the MLS.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you for filling in some of the gaps there. I think it's very helpful.
Sure. I do that with magnets at Christmas time, you guys. So I go into Magnet USA. I want to tell you real quick because he had mentioned he wanted me to give some ideas. for Christmas or for New Year's or whatever. And I get these little small magnets. I take each one. They've got labels. You pull them off and you put your card on. It sticks on. It's got a magnet. And then I send them to all my neighborhood. I send them to neighbors or people where I sold from, a few here and there, not a ton of them. Because they can get expensive, but then they've got me on their fridge or they toss me in the garbage, whatever works.
Well, that's great. Yeah, that's all fantastic. And so if you develop your pitch, you create that pitch the way you want to present yourself to the public, this is another great way to get that pitch out in front of hundreds of people. So good job. Thank you. And with the holidays, there's great opportunities for marketing, Christmas cards, postcards, things like that as well. So make sure you're looking for opportunities like that. Good. What else? Any other thoughts, questions, comments?
Chris, hi. Welcome back from your trip.
Hey, Marcy.
Hi. Before I sign off, I got to get to a meeting, but I wanted to say regarding interest rates, the question you had when people say, oh, I got to wait till the interest rates drop. The one thing I do use that analogy with not having a crystal ball. So yeah, I know a lot, but I don't have a crystal ball and I don't know what tomorrow brings. But what I do know is that the interest rates are still lower than the 20-year average. So we are still below the 20-year average. And then I throw in, my first house, I had 18% interest on a variable rate. It's definitely not anywhere near there. So, it's encouraging. And then the last piece I'll say is real estate appreciates on average 7% annually. So it doesn't matter if you think the market's going to crash in the future, the position that we're in economically is loans aren't being given above the value of a home. So we're nowhere near what the market looked like when it crashed years ago. I lived through that as well. So those are reminders you can throw out there. And with that,
that's excellent.
Remind everyone that tomorrow's agent roundtable is at 6 p.m. And we had a request from Gwen that we actually work on preparing our client packets for next year to get ready for a busy 2025. So we're going to go through what goes into your client packets and create prototypes, and then you can go off and duplicate them in multiples. But that's for tomorrow. So hope you guys can make it, and I'll see you soon.
Is that only a live event, or will that be?
Yeah,
Zoom in for that?
It's really challenging for us to do live and webinar. We've tried it a couple times. It doesn't work that well. I'd have to sit right by. There's no microphones around the room, so it's not easy to do discussion. But hopefully we'll get a few people like we do every week. Chuck is always there, and my students are always in the room, so I love it. It's great. We always have a lot of fun. But happy Thanksgiving.
Great. So if you're in Northeast Ohio, make sure you drop in for that. So, okay. Well, hey, everyone have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Hope you have the best Thanksgiving ever this year. If you need help, feel free to reach out. Scott and I, Chris Johnson, and Marcy up in Northeast Ohio, we're our team. We are all happy to help you. We also hope you all have a fantastic holiday. Let us know if you need any help. All right, go make some money.